The iconic skyline in Victoria's inner harbour is about to undergo a dramatic change, and it all begins in just a couple of months. The demolition of the historic Johnson Street Bridge will get underway, and as that project moves forward, experts in archaeology are going to be keeping a very close eye on what lies beneath. As A News reporter Astrid Braunschmidt shows us tonight, the site of the bridge holds significant history for island First Nations.
First Nations history is rich in this area of Victoria's harbour.
It is very close to the Songhees Reserve on the west side of the bridge, and the Songhees were there on the reserve from 1844 until 1911. It's also significant because on the east side it's close to downtown Victoria, obviously, and the original settlement of Victoria. And so there's a lot of interactions between the west side where the reserve was and then a lot of early trade with downtown Victoria.
This photo, taken in the 1870s, shows the Songhees in the pre-Blue Bridge era. 140 years later, when deconstruction of the aging Johnson Street Bridge begins in September, the city will have advisors looking on, just in case.
There are a number of significant archaeological sites within the city of Victoria with regard to First Nations history, and that is always a consideration when we do any construction.
Because you never know what you're going to find until you dig. In 2005, during construction of the Shutters building, developers got quite a surprise when excavators unearthed an impressive piece of history.
Found a barrel that was basically filled with artifacts and complete artifacts from a time period that we have fairly little information about, in the 1840s to about 1860.
More than 10,000 significant pieces were found, amazing local First Nations consultants.
We were digging and we were finding slate stone spearheads and braider stones. It was really exciting.
That stuff very amazing. It's very powerful.
It was a find no one expected.
That area was the site of some previous disturbances as well, and so our find there was quite a surprise.
After testing the soil, archaeologists don't think that anything of significance will be found at the Johnson Street Bridge site when work gets underway.
The area's been really disturbed from, of course, the construction of the first bridge and other developments downtown in Victoria. So there's been a lot of fill, a lot of disturbance, a lot of displacement of the soil, and so there's a few artifacts, but highly disturbed, so we're not anticipating any major finds going forward.
But one thing is certain.
You never know what you find until you start work.
Astrid joins us now live with more. Astrid, this could have a real impact on the project. If something of significant historical value is unearthed, what will that mean for the timeline of the Blue Bridge replacement?
Well, you know, Hudson, it really is hard to say. What archaeologists do know is that the area was occupied by First Nations between 1844 and 1911. So if anything is found that predates 1846, that will automatically be protected by the Heritage Conservation Act. So, of course, people will be looking very closely at what they find and then looking at the date if they find anything at all. Now, as we heard earlier in the story, Bond did say that this is an area of quite disturbed soil, a lot of fill in this area of the harbour, so the chances of finding anything with historical value, Bond says, is quite unlikely. That said, Songhees Chief Robert Sam says members of his community and his family, in fact, will be monitoring the process and consulting on the project over the next few years.
You never know until you dig.
You never know.
All right, Astrid, thank you.
You're welcome.